Hey, VGRT. This week we're going to talk about how viewing life as a video game can actually help entrepreneurs. So, if you basically look at entrepreneurship like a video game, you begin to realize that there are systems and processes in place that basically define how the game of business works. And if you master the game of business, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So, the first thing to think about is that business is a lot like a beat 'em up. Think about it like Final Fight. Every level's got a boss. You got to basically master how that boss's timing works. You got to know when to punch, when to duck. Now, the thing is about entrepreneurship specifically is that you're going to get punched a lot. So you have to be able to handle the blows that come towards you, specifically when it comes from starting up from zero. So just like a game, when you start it up, you're not really sure how you control yourself. This is one of the core things you got to figure out real quick, which is the directional pad, how you're going to get involved, and how you're going to go after that goal that you're trying to get down. So as I look at it from a standpoint of an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, it has always come in from an understanding that I'm going to always take 6 steps forward and I'm going to take 3 steps back, because in the end of the day, I have to learn that pattern that is coming and developing through business cycles, as well as just the nature of the industry I'm working in. Specifically, the video games industry is very interesting because there are patterns that develop in terms of seasonality of selling games, understanding who controls the gate, who can say yes, who can say no, who's wasting your time, who's a henchman and who's a boss. Ultimately, once you begin to identify who those people are and understand their patterns of behavior, you're able to actually make your moves and strike hard, specifically when you're trying to get your goals done. Now, if we go a little bit less abstract and get really into what it is to run a business specifically, running a business is basically just having complete faith that you're going to figure things out. You can plan, you can try to figure things out as much as you can, plan into the future, but the reality is that all your planning will be thrown out the window, because the reality is it will never go as you thought. And really what it comes down to is the quickness of thought, your ability to parlay one move into the next, and your ability to basically understand that because things aren't going to go according to plan, that you will have the resolve and the grit to keep coming back day in and day out when everything you're being told is you're wrong, it's not going to happen, it ain't doing it, or it ain't going to work. That is one of the main things you got to understand, that just like a game, it's supposed to be hard. The harder, the better. And if in the end of the day, you're not feeling that hardness coming in, I doubt you're playing a good game to play to begin with, because anything great is difficult to do. So when you keep that in mind, especially as you're going after your business, and this is going to be funny because I've been doing this one for 21 years, you have to almost enjoy the pain of losing. You have to enjoy the fact that if you get kicked, you get back up. If you fail, you replay again. And that honestly, failure is not killing you. Yeah, you can break, you can go bankrupt, but you come back again, you try again, because the reality is that game and the way entrepreneurship is set up, it's meant for you to keep trying. Now, granted, don't do anything illegal and don't do anything that's going to be ultimately fatal, meaning you go to jail, or you do something that basically causes you to have an inappropriate relationship, or let's say a negative reputation. But if you basically realize that nothing truly will stop you, you will be in a better position. And I think that's ultimately keeping that gamer's mentality and just get back in there and keep playing until you win. You know, having partners is an interesting thing, because it's a lot like getting married without any of the benefits of marriage. So basically what this comes down to is that you have to understand the other person. You have to understand the emotions of a human being. You have to understand what that person is great at doing. And you have to be willing to basically link what you're able to do with what they're able to do in order to basically kind of multiply that by a factor of 10. The key thing of this is basically human understanding and a lot of empathy. You actually have to have an extreme amount of empathy. And so co-ops, in co-ops you play together, you know each other's skill, you basically understand, especially if you're playing a co-op where, I'm a medic and you're basically like the warrior, or if we're playing an RPG, an action RPG, we have different skill sets. It's learning how those skill sets together help us to traverse the terrain. But I think ultimately, in the end of the day, one thing about business that is extremely important is that partnerships can only last with honesty and directness. The more indirect you are, the less honest you are, the more likely you'll fail. And I think this is something that people got to realize, that the original game is yourself first. You have to master yourself. You have to master those emotions, those fears, those insecurities. Then you have to be able to look at another person, understand them very quickly, what their fear, insecurities are, help them get over them as well. And then together, you guys take on the world. Everyone, thank you again for listening to Video Games Real Talk. It is season 4. We will be coming out every week with a new show. As always, if you have any comments or questions or concerns, please feel free to hit us up on social media. You can get me at StarvUp. You can also find us at VGRT. And of course, as always, please share with your friends.